Now to something we've reported on an awful lot lately. Spam calls have been plaguing the country with U.S. consumers. Listen to this number. On track to receive 52 billion robocalls just this year alone. Last month, the FCC mandated phone companies start using new technology to try to cut down on all these calls we're all getting. Joining us now to talk about this is CNET editor-at-large Ian Sherr. Ian, thanks for being here. This is something that really affects everybody. Almost nobody's immune from getting these calls because they pop up at all hours of the day and night. So talk about this new technology and how it's going to reduce some of the robocalls. I know people are definitely interested in this.
Yeah, so it was something that the FCC required the phone companies, right? So AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all the ones we know, to implement over the summer. And it's actually, the deadline is passed. But the way that it works is that it requires these companies to effectively authenticate a phone call and where it's coming from. So you may have noticed that a lot of these spam callers will call you with a number that looks like it's from down the street, or maybe it's even similar to your own phone number, but off a couple of digits. That's not a mistake. That is a way that they do called spoofing, where they try to pretend that there's someone else, but in reality, they're just calling you from another country. So in theory, that was supposed to stop a lot of that. Of course, that doesn't mean an end to robocalls in general. And in fact, we've seen a bunch of them still continuing. But a lot of these extra tools that these spammers have are trying to be taken away.
So the FCC and the private sector, they've made a lot of progress. But, you know, this gets dangerous when you mentioned spoofing. You alluded to it. When they spoof Social Security or the IRS, and people think it's really the IRS or Social Security calling them, especially when it comes to our seniors. Is there ever a way to stop all that once and for all?
Unfortunately, it's going to be very hard to stop it all. And the reason it continues is that it's profitable. You know, people pick up the phone, and worse, people do end up getting taken by a lot of this stuff. And so the best thing that all of us can do is really to make sure that we talk about it with our families. You know, a lot of our elderly, people are not as used to dealing with spam calls. My father would pick them up every once in a while and have a conversation with them. But, you know, the reality is you really want to make sure that you teach very basic stuff that we all need to learn. For example, that no government agency will ever accept payment by a gift card.
Right.
Believe it or not, a lot of people fall for that, thinking the IRS wants them to pay with gift cards. In fact, no company at all will ever ask you for a gift card if they're a legitimate company. It's stuff like that that's very basic, but unfortunately something that constantly happens.
You know, a few years ago, I did a story where there was a woman here in the Charlotte area that every time she got one, she blew a coach's whistle into the phone, told them to hold on. Do those tactics work?
Unfortunately not. That's the other thing we've learned. So there are a couple of apps out there that can help you stop these people that you can download for free, either from the App Store or even from your own carrier. But the best thing you can do is actually not to pick up. Yeah. And the thing is that a lot of these systems, you know, they are dialing so many numbers at a time, hoping that, 1% of them are going to pick up. And the reality is that when you pick up, their computer programs that are making these dialing are actually marking that your phone number has a person at the end of it, because a lot of phone numbers don't. And so what happens is that they actually sell that information to other scammers. So when you pick up the phone, and even if you yell at them, call them bad names, try to embarrass them, whatever, doesn't matter. The reality is that they take that information and then try to sell it to another scammer who hopes they might be able to dupe you. So the best thing you can do, and this is hard as a reporter who gets phone calls from everywhere, is not to pick up the phone unless you know who's calling you.
I fall into that category too. Yeah, 1% you alluded to. That's an awful lot of phones dialing. So yeah, we get it. Ian Sherr, thank you very much from CNET. Good information, good interview. We enjoyed it, and a lot of takeaways there.
Absolutely.
Okay, take care.